Happy Juneteenth and welcome to the Biz Chill Ethos episode of the Art of Biz and Chill. I am your host, Malane Ayo Best, and I am innovative communications advisor for Fintech executives. And whole spiel with this episode, as the title says, talking about using entrepreneurship as a side quest for healing and liberation. Just to go with the theme of today's official federal holiday. So, side quest is pulling from RPGs. I am a I can't say I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. I love me some Final Fantasy. And what, last week they announced Final Fantasy VII Revelation. I've been looking at Nintendo Switch 2s because I'm getting that. I played Final Fantasy VII, first started playing it when I was maybe 13 years old. That was my beginning to Final Fantasy. And I've only beaten 15. But I've enjoyed all the games. All this to say, in an RPG, there are the side quests, which, as it infers, side quests aren't, give or take, they're a part of like the main story line, like the main path for how you are getting to the end of the game. Going on side quests, it gives you bonuses. You get certain, it's basically, it adds to your journey. It's not a requirement, but it adds to it. If there's, what is it? It's like there's the most powerful weapons that your characters can get. If they're like the most maxed out best weapon, that's for them. Typically, the only way you can get it is through a side quest. Is it necessary to get to the end? No, but if you go through the process, does it make everything kind of easier? Especially fighting the final boss or any type of boss? Of course. So, my approach to using entrepreneurship for healing and liberation is distinctly from the perspective of, I feel like these concepts, like the concept of healing, concept of liberation, like it gets treated like a lifestyle. It gets treated like it's the main story. Maybe it is for you, but they are facets that are vital to improving the story, but it's not the main course. In this instance, what is it? Yeah, it's the facet that it's not the main story. It's, if we're going by book analogies, these are chapters. It adds to the plot, it isn't the plot. So the direction I'm moving in is, I got off kilter eons ago, and it'd been difficult to focus on why exactly I was in business, because I was still wrapped up in being attached to essentially old stories that it needed to be addressed to be able to move on, to move up, to elevate to the level that I want to be at. And a part of that is accepting what I want out of life. So before you can do that, you'd have to accept and identify feelings. You can talk around things as much as you want. You can spend 10, 20 years in therapy and make incremental progress, but it's only going to get you as far in your growth as you are willing to go deep and accept what is in the darkness, in the shadows of yourself, and actually identifying and feeling whatever's coming up, namely, of course, pain, and why, kind of identifying why you refuse to feel the pain. It's one thing to intellectualize it, it's another thing to actually feel it. And yeah, it fucking sucks. But there is like a concept that Carl Jung has spoken on. He's a um excitable excitable house people, if you heard that. But like Carl Jung was a psychoanalyst, maybe that was his title, and he talked about, going into the shadows, going into the parts of yourself that you don't want to accept, or they were just repressed and you don't really know how to navigate it. And much of that is going to be feelings that you may have not had the capacity to fully experience at the time, or you just deny it. So for me, that is emotional pains, particularly relational, hatred that has stemmed from that, and ultimately my failures up until this point in my life at the age of 37. And just, I find that even just like identifying or accepting failure without getting lost in guilt and shame and denial, like it, just call a spade a spade. Because if like I took some notes to go along with certain key points that I want to talk about here. And when it comes to failures, I put it in quotes, right? But so I have found sometimes it's like I have certain words that come to me and I may have like certain feelings around it, but then I'm like, you know what? Let me look up the definition of this word. And I'm not gonna look up the definition again. I'm gonna try to go off the dome. It's not like it was super intricate, but essentially, it's like a failure is like like in my case, incomplete goals, unfulfilled desires, and I feel like there's a lot of weight again, like shame and guilt and pain that comes with it when, again, just call it a spade a spade. Like I failed at things. I didn't achieve certain business goals. I didn't achieve certain income goals. I didn't achieve certain dreams that I had when I was younger. Does that mean I won't ever be able to do it? I can't do it moving forward. It's like, no. It's like just being able to accept, like, yo, it's a failure. What am I gonna learn from it? And on the flip side, for reframing like the failures, it's what do you learn from it? It goes from the a phrase that I use and like have the signature on my emails, on like my business emails. It's you win or you learn. Like it is, I feel like that's something I picked up from Chris Do, but he picked it up from somebody else, like Chris Do of the future. Um, I don't know who it came from though. Maybe Jim Rohn. He was a big motivational speaker or something. But it's like, yeah, you win or you lose, but even in the losing, you still got to learn something. Maybe the learning is learning to accept that you lost. But, it's being able to not let the quote unquote negative feelings overshadow the entire experience of what's influencing your growth. Then, briefly, to get into the realm of hatred, that's like a big denial thing. I find that when it comes to hatred and anger. People be expressing it, but they don't want to acknowledge it. Like they don't want to make space for the expression for in some ways they don't want to make space for the expression of it, especially when it's coming from a black woman. Um I just got a whole lot of background noise today. But we persist. Um with the case of anger and hatred, it's like people deny what they're angry about, or they mock people for being angry. People act like they're better, that they're above feeling hatred. And that just allows it to pop up in other ways because you are using denial to cover up what you're feeling. You're not just letting it rest in the moment and just accept it and feel it. You don't, just because you feel it don't mean you gotta do something about it. Just because I hate certain people don't mean that I'm going to turn their lives inside out, give or take. And then in the realm of pain, again, that's something that a lot of us avoid or dodge instead of just in the moment when it arises, giving it the space to be felt and not necessarily like if it my experience has been like jumping to venting is skipping over the process of actually the somatic work of actually feeling what it is in your body. I use a timer and just kind of sit with it, and I gotta shush myself, shush the brain, stop putting words around it. Like with that count, this last. Let's stop skipping steps. So all of this has been distracting when it comes to me making progress in business. There's been so, of course, it depends on the individual, on the individual. What just how much you can compartmentalize when it comes to feelings and getting things done. Everything has been kind of enmeshed with me, which is why I'm like, okay, let's you instead of like just being like, all right, well, I gotta do business and work and make money, and then I do deal with my own personal shit on the side. It's like, no, 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 no. Clearly, the two streams are overlapping. So just burst the dam. Let's sift through it and make be intentional about having this be a side quest, a set chapter where what I'm doing with my business is a part of healing and liberating myself of the pain and the hatred that stems from my failures up until this point. And it's a matter of transmuting these experiences to basically what's a win for me. And that has been doing this pivot into the fintech industry. And I have gone through a couple different services since the beginning of this month and figuring out what exactly the problem that I want to solve is and what the outcome is. And essentially, learning how that overlaps with problems that I see in the industry that I hear about. So I had a conversation with a guy a couple weeks ago, and he started spouting on about how you don't like you make a business, I guess, and it's not about what you want to do, and that is fucking false. Like if you're not it depends on it's false depending on whatever your goal is, how you position yourself, yada yada yada. It's false for me. It's it's a falsehood. It is an opinion. It's not fact. And it's from a perspective of somebody who don't do no service business. So, especially to my level of engagement. So, like, what the fuck would you know? So, all that to say, I understand from my experiences and failures and wins that when I am in full alignment with what I am offering, I have a exceptional experience, exceptionally positive experience with my clients. And especially nowadays, I am focused on providing premium service. I am not, there's only one thing that I'm offering for a couple $100. I'm not doing anything less than that anymore. I just can't, which has added like a level of pressure, but it's give or take my experiences up until this point. It's the side quest is me liberating myself of limitations. And so I've learned, namely, developing like a repellent to other people's limitations on what I am capable of doing because they don't know shit about my experiences and the people who have actually paid me for things and what they have said about their positive experiences with me and their results. So, all that to say, the main thing was like originally I was going to offer carousel design. The appeal for me was that it was going to be a 3-day service. It was a quick in and out. I get the money up front. We do an onboarding. I knock out everything in 3 days unless the client pays for additional time. And it was pretty much like a touch and go. We had we schedule an onboarding call. Maybe we have a call right before the final. I don't even think that was the case. It was just like all we have the call, then we just touch and go where whatever platform or through email, whatever, they give me the feedback, I make the updates, I send the file over. But I like developing relationships with clients. Like I do enjoy relationships. And that was a part of like a pain and hatred that had developed over the past 7 years. Because when I was first starting my business, because I hadn't learned how to cut people off, um, and I was in this liminal space of, well, this person's helped me out in this way, so let me just turn a blind eye to their underhanded comments or them talking shit about me and then copying what I'm doing. Like just weird people dynamics. And then grouping up against me and then plotting against me and then trying to sabotage and distract me while I'm just trying to do my own thing. So that just created like it brought up feelings from all the way back when I was a kid where I was ostracized. When I got into maybe like my senior year of high school up until college, and then throughout my 20s, I was very intentional because I had social anxiety just from the shit treatment from being a kid, that I had like issues, or I was just very uncomfortable. Like I had social anxiety. I was struggling with like how to connect with people. So I was very intentional about learning how to develop my own relationships and then developing relationships once I got around, I guess, in my mid 20s, when originally I wanted to work in the animation industry because I was still in Maryland. I wasn't sure of how to make things work to get out to Cali. So I was like, well, let me make some art connections online and locally. And then when like I got my degree in Japanese, I'm like, okay, how can I develop my skills locally? So I distinctly went out I went on meetup.com. Maybe I went on Eventbrite, and I found just local organizations and events to start making connections and friends. And even when it came to, once I got into the cannabis industry, I looked up, because Maryland like had just started as a medical state around 2018 at the time. I started looking up events. I started using Instagram to start connecting in Maryland. I was looking up dispensaries, getting emails, sending out emails. So I was very intentional about all these connections I had made. But then connections from high school that I should have let go. And then just other weirdos that I'd connected with in my 20s and like had weird just energy with me. And then just like familial relationships were just off base. So it's just like, because I didn't just cut things off and go fully on my own and become fully independent, because I was still doing the roommate thing. I was still, I think because I was kind of used to navigating things alone, and then the adults around me started making it weird about me being alone and making weird comments about how I didn't have friends and feeling all this pity for me. It's just like I dealt with a lot of projections. And I just learned to tolerate people projecting onto me because I needed connections apparently. So then when I got into the lane of what I was actually good at and showing up more as myself, and I actually started connecting with healthier people who didn't have secret beefs with me and were actually kind and helping me out and was just very reliable. It's kind of like I was riding the fence on two different ways of life. It's kind of like, I guess, the analogy, not analogy. It's like the story or whatever, I can't get the word for it, where there's two rabbits and a farmer, I guess, is trying to catch rabbits, right? You can't chase two rabbits. So I'm chasing two rabbits. And because I'm chasing these two connections that I think are these two different types of connections that are going in different directions, but I'm used to the scraggly, ugly rabbit being around instead of investing, just letting it go and then investing time on the healthy rabbit that doesn't try to bite me and bite my toes off sometimes. So, all that to say, I greatly value relationships. That created a lot of confusion for me because of the healthier relationships and just the pace at which things had picked up for me professionally and career wise based off of people resonating with me and the value that I offered. It it started corroding my ability to do business. And ultimately, the healing factor for now is I want to be I want to be involved with my clients. And I don't want to just do a touch and go. I don't just want to produce things for people. I guess it's also I'm at a personal limit as far as there are things that I want to create for myself. I have my speculative fiction brand, Cosmic Noirs. That involves me producing a lot of content on top of writing my short stories, designing visuals for the short stories, and then once I get into drawing and illustrating again, making those for that project. And then when it comes to content, making videos, recording a podcast, making posts, repurposing all these things, keeping track of this. It's I don't have it in me to produce content. I don't want to produce content for anybody anymore. I just want to do it for myself. Like if I'm producing it for somebody, it needs to include and be building upon my story, what I'm doing, my brand, my businesses. But just from a couple interactions, just there's somewhat random gigs, but it's along the same process where it's I learned about basically putting systems together, but most importantly, when there's a team involved, improving the communication of who's doing what, inviting stakeholders or inviting certain people on the team or who are on the outskirts of the team, inviting them into the process if they're very influential. Really listening to what people's personal needs are, their curiosities, if they feel self conscious about being on camera or they think their ideas are stupid, being a source of encouragement and direction to really build people up and collectively elevate the collective to be able to execute on whatever the project, whatever the business goal at hand is. And I was trying to figure out how that fit into fintech, which then gets into my failure for this month of the 30-day content challenge. So I was like, I wanted to do three pieces of content a day for 30 days, right? And ultimately, I needed to know what my offer was and what I was speaking to. And then on top of that, playing to the algorithms because maybe it was this month. I feel like it happened last month and like more people are bitching about it now. But LinkedIn algorithm has noticeably changed for everybody this month of June. And there's not as much as far as reach. So it really got me begging the question of like, why should I even do content every day? Especially if most of the energy or just uh most of the attraction is gonna come from commenting on other people's posts. And it was that on top of then curating my feed to shift into fintech and out of hotels and cannabis and black women and black culture. Like all of those are important, but they're not the priority. So doing that and then also building out the service and then having to set up my website, set up the systems with which to accept clients on top of making content. This wasn't gonna work. Like I've still gotten things out, but not 3 a day. And I decided like June was the big push before I start giving attention back to my speculative fiction brand, Cosmic Noirs, in July. And I don't know, I want the glory of having done 30 solid days of it. Maybe I'll settle for 15 days and do that in July and then that's a done deal. We'll see. But that was a dud. But I am leaning into posting 3 times every other day because it's like ultimately I have to make time to comment on people's posts, especially this week. I have been having some fintechs trickle in. It's nice, especially because I sent out like just over 50 connection invites last month. Maybe about half of them added me back. and then only one of them showed up on my feed, and that was like a month ago. So now the women that I started following, I probably followed, I don't know, might not be 100, just under 100 maybe, fintech executives over the past month. Now they're gradually popping up on my feed so that I can interact with their posts. So that is that's in motion. And when it gets to my solution or the offer that I have now, based off of what I have been learning about the industry, is like trust. Trust keeps popping up. So it's like, how do I solve the trust problem while also fulfilling my own desire to like orchestrate, conduct people? Like it's like an orchestra, bring all harmonize people and evolve them. How do I do this and do it in this distinct industry and offer it at a high premium? How do I do this? So things ended up coming full circle because I'd been wanting to offer workshops. And there's this company, AJ and Smart, that I'd come across last year. And their whole thing is facilitator training, and offering workshops for 4, 5, 6 figures. And because I am a people conductor, it's like I I'm interested in working with companies retainer wise in like an advisory role. It was like I don't really want to be producing shit. Like I can direct your people, I can help with the communication process, but I also am like, okay, what is short term that I can do? And again, I want to scratch the itches of consulting and um the workshops, doing sprints. And it's like just a thing to realize about myself is, I'm used to dibbling and dabbling with creativity as far as like dance and writing and drawing. But then it's like, why wouldn't I be able to do that with business? Why not? Like, so it came back to, you know, it comes to why this is called the art of biz and chill. And it's my take on entrepreneurship, what I've talked about in previous episodes, where it's just like, it don't have to be like this super urgent going to war hardcore thing. Like if that gets you going and that motivates you, by all means, go for it. But truly, the fact of the matter is like that perspective comes from dudes. I'm I'm not a dude. I'm not sorry, I don't have enough testosterone to be obsessed with violence and manipulation and feeding my ego and doing all. Nah, that's not my wiring. I'm a woman. I like chilling. I'm a black woman. I like chilling. I like enjoying myself. And when it comes to harmonizing people, that kind of has to be pleasant. That has to be a pleasant experience. And you have to be a very, like, it's not a domineering, commanding force. Like, people hate that shit. You have to be stability. This is what I learned when I was like a co-founder for this startup, and even when I'd helped clients in the past. It's like, to provide direction, you have to provide stable ground. You have to offer clarity and stability and confidence. because everybody else, especially like as I found with the the ballpark of being an adult, maybe like I experienced it personally, but I'm looking out at things like people are so neurotic. Like they're fickle. They go wherever the wind blows. They freak out, and it's just like if you I haven't watched that show Community, but if you've seen the gif or the video when Donald Glover character Troy walks into the room with I think he has like a cake and he going there all happy and he go in the room and stuff is on fire, people are running around, they're screaming, like that's low key what is going on in people's heads most of the time. So I have found I have found with my clients and then with my co-founders, because I'm the stability, it is like they're able to get a grip to just focus on this one thing. And to me, there is a premium because there's a premium to that because I have to keep myself together to keep y'all together. Y'all ideas all over the place. I have to be the voice of reason to be like, all right, that's great, but like, what are we doing now? How does that build on what we were talking about last week? How are we supposed to get momentum if you want to go in a new direction this week? Oh, I didn't think of that. Of course you didn't think of it. I have to think of it. So it's that aspect, but then so I found with two, or I guess like it was two distinct clients, maybe about 2 years ago, where I was trying to help them build out systems for making a digital product and selling it. And they didn't have that much money to put up front. So I'm just like, I can't be investing all this time with you. But it's like I helped them build out the system, but because of their own internal shit, they want like they couldn't seem to build on their own, and then everything just kind of fell apart or fell by the wayside once I was out the picture. And again, it's like, well, no, I'm not giving you all this energy to be able to sustain this when we both know it's a great idea, but you have all these limitations and self-doubt, and you're not in a place where you want to grow, and you're also not willing to sustain this on your own, and you keep trying to take this in other directions. I can't deal with you. So it's that aspect of the premium of working with me is because of just I'm putting like this, it comes like the ideas, everything kind of comes easy to me. But it's also the fact that I put in time actually looking up how to navigate relationships and how to execute on things. I study companies and entrepreneurs who've been successful at the things that I am helping to bring to life. And yeah, I deserve to be compensated well when you have the attention span of a goldfish for whatever you're looking to do. So to even deepen that, even saying that in itself, it's I take things to a deeper level. I get to the roots. I say it's like it's all a reflection of like I have a very strong Capricorn in my chart. Capricorn is an earth sign, it's a cardinal sign, it's a leadership sign. It's, being earthy, you're grounded, you are the stability, you are the direction of things. So that is the energy that I bring to things, but it's also, I want to work with fintech executives and companies that are going to go make the deep decisions within themselves to change, to improve how they're handling their communications and how they're handling their relationships, be that internal or external with investors, stakeholders, banks that they're getting licenses from, all that jazz. So, all that to say, it comes full circle. I am healing my relational wounds with focusing on high value connections with people who actually want to grow and understand the it's not even understand the value of relationships, it's willing to again grow and change their approach and their outlook on what it takes to deepen their business relationships as far as developing them, whether they're new or maintaining them for the long term. And particularly, like my tagline on LinkedIn is that I help close the trust gap between relationships and ROI. The ROI doesn't necessarily have to be financial. The ROI is whatever the business goal is that ultimately does add to, the profit revenue generation. So be that if it's a internal team issue, or you've been trying to catch this investor, or there's a particular investor that you want to talk with, or it can be a stakeholder that you're not getting certain results with. I come in and help to rectify the situation. But it's not just talking it out, it's developing actual systems for tracking the process of the relationship and touch points for continually warming up the relationship and maintaining things. And as such, I have created 6 services. I think that comes with the liberation part of just like I just like I think it's brilliant. Of course, I'm give or take. My whole thing with having the 6 services is that it depends on the level of engagement. Each of the different services is like it's a touch point that's ultimately based in trust development. I'm selling trust. I think that's how I see it. So I have like the biz and chill suite, and then there's the advisory suite. Each of these suites have 3 services under them. And it's getting back to the point of like sort of a touch and go where it's also I offer consultation, uh day intensive or workshop. Then, that's under the biz and chill suite. Under the advisory suite, there's a 21-day, in quotes, 21-day sprint, a 3-month advisory retainer contract, and then a 6 or more month retainer contract for advising. And again, all of those are separate because it creates it creates an understanding of like how many people I'm working with, how many, I don't want to say how many problems I'm solving, but like the scale of the problem. Obviously, I can't do, for a 90-minute consultation, I can't do the same job that I'd be doing with a 3-month retainer contract. If I have a 3-month retainer, that's gonna, the goal for that, for our thought partnership, it's gonna be more narrow than if you have a 6 or 12-month advisory contract with me. And again, it's a level of engagement based off of not just the client trust, but my own, because I don't want to. Sure, we may hit it off on a call and you're like, "Oh, I want to work with you for 12 months. This is so great." And then you and your team, y'all suck. Like, and so it's just like I have the, or maybe, y'all ain't vibing with how I talk, or your stakeholder who wasn't on the meeting or whatever, like they don't like black people, and that's gonna perpetually be an issue with them, especially because I call it out. Like, um, so it's just it's getting, again, uh, it's kind of meta. It's, I have a business that helps with building relationships. The services reflect building a relationship with me and me building a relationship with you. So even if, you feel like you want to just hop into the 21-day sprint, sure, we can let that rock. That's kind of like a cutoff as far as like if we never worked together before, versus, again, like a 3-month advisory retainer. If I don't have any type of rapport with you and we haven't worked together, I'm not familiar with your team. Like, you and me may hit it off, but again, I don't know your team. Maybe you are just focused on developing things internally, and you have a large company, you may have a small company. So, that's also going to affect the amount of time. We're working together for 6 or 9 months. Sure, I can help with you cultivating your relationships with your bank creditors, as well as whatever internal team and whatever departments, because we have the time to space out doing that and figuring out, like, planning goals quarterly or 6 months or something, versus a 21-day sprint or a 2-day workshop. That's a narrower window for what we're getting done and what we're clarifying. So ultimately, I am handling, picking up on whatever the nuances are, because like my purpose of coming in is being in a third party, an objective being who isn't wrapped up in your company politics and your hierarchies and whatever, because that does create blind spots, that does create certain levels of tension where people aren't being honest about what they want to communicate, or certain people aren't receptive to what other people are saying because of all that mortal malarkey. So I come in as like a cheat code to put everything out on the table, and to also systematize it as far as creating any form of documentation, consolidating any communication channels, bringing together, if you've been talking to a stakeholder and y'all been on phone calls, y'all have video calls, y'all be texting. 1 minute you texting, then sometimes y'all talk on WhatsApp. Maybe you have conversations on Signal, and then sometimes y'all be talking in the LinkedIn DMs. Like, bringing everything together and creating order. And if you haven't been taking notes or you're not recording calls, maybe maybe there's like some resistance against using an AI for handling transcriptions and making the summaries for calls. It's bringing order to how the relationships are being handled and documented, putting them in the context of, again, whatever the business goal is. If you are looking to license with a bank, or you've been considering a strategic partnership, or there's some type of internal change that has to happen, it's shaping the relationships around what the specific goal is, so that we are, or I guess y'all are, one band, one sound on how to get these things executed. Because ultimately, whatever your dysfunction is, or whatever the miscommunication that's happening, that is affecting the trust factor. Trust is everything in how us squishy creatures relate to each other and decide to help each other and get things done. So I don't know. There's a, again, it's conducting people. It's moving the energy, moving life force and making something great. Just is very satisfying to me. And being able to be in spaces where there are people who are focused on a big vision and want better and are the best that they can be is who I want to be around. Like, I enjoy watching drama. I don't want to be a part of no drama. Because typically people make drama because they got nothing else important going on with themselves amongst like other issues. But even when you got issues, if there's like some major goal or purpose that is of the utmost importance to you, that takes like that is where your focus and energy should be. You shouldn't even have like energy to be invested in making suck for other people and ultimately making the suck for yourself. That is my simple outlook on things. So that is, and I guess the major element that I bring to that is because I am direct, I am honest, I am transparent. When something stank, when somebody attitude stank, I will diplomatically address it. But I am very attuned to people's mood changes. I'm attuned to somebody saying underhanded stuff. I pick up on people's patterns. So it's also like that. I don't know. It's not like a Batman thing. It's just maybe it just comes with the package of being a black woman. I don't know. But it's just like at the end of the day, I'm very intuitive and like energetically I don't want to just say sensitive. It's just I have a level of attunement that I pick up on things, especially like again when it comes to like people saying underhanded shit, like because like you don't have the backbone to just out abruptly say what you want to say. Or I've noticed people just be saying stuff and they don't even actually use their brain. Or you address certain things to people and they get very egoic and stubborn when they don't know what they talking about. So it's just like having having someone who is not a I'm not gonna be like I'm not a shock absorber. I am gonna electrify you because the truth seems to bother people. People like seem to don't do well when you hold up a mirror to what they're actually saying and doing. But ultimately, it is for the vision, the big picture vision, and executing that. So I feel like that is all I wanted from life. And I've just been around such corrosive, unstable humans. It's disturbing. So I need healing. I need healing from coexisting with such beings. Like my liberation is that I can navigate such creatures, but I am not coexisting through obligation around them ever again because it's noise. And like that's a part of business like this operational efficiency is cutting the noise, is dialing it down, cutting it off, burning it alive, and throwing it in the dumpster. No, we're not gonna throw it in the dumpster. We'll feed the earth with it. Like I'm very sustainable. Just don't throw it in the dumpster. It just goes in the landfill and it doesn't go into the circle of life. We're just gonna burn it, feed it back to the earth, use it as fertilizer to make something better. So that is my approach to business and how I'm handling things and moving forward. Yeah, right now, today is getting the first two services up on my site and then I've made some LinkedIn posts today. So I guess I won't be making, I'll be trying not to be active on Sundays. I'll enact that in July. That'll be solid in July. But make my post for today. Make some posts on Sunday. Make my every other day posts so I can spend Saturday getting my comment on and being in the DMs. Set up some calls. But the main thing is getting the Biz and Chill suite up, having my case studies to support those in whatever fashion, and developing the connections or relationships with the fintech executives. And more than anything is like, as I'm seeing more of their posts, just seeing what is of utmost importance to them, because that also influences how I write my content. And to wrap things up, the episode is hashtag BizChillEthos. I didn't fully get into that, so I guess I'll cover that with the Biz and Chill bites. But I have four types of posts I want to put out. I guess five. Let's keep multiplying. But the hashtag BizChillEthos posts are I like build in public content. And I want to get into the flow of doing that. And when it comes to like what I'm posting about on LinkedIn, it's I just want to talk to people about what they're working on. I'm gonna be talking about what I'm working on. That's the whole build in public thing, and just having a space for people to share what they're working on, whether it's business, it's a personal project. You don't even have to be like entrepreneur related. You could be learning to crochet. You could have a garden. I don't care. Let's just talk about what you are making. I like making stuff. So that is the Biz and Chill ethos. Is just what you working on that you like working on. Simple as that. See if I can get conversations going. So I did make it like a hashtag on LinkedIn that I can personally go back through and encourage people to use it. So that being intentional about creating like a community conversation. Then what the other post is fintech directly. So to speak directly to fintech executives and closing the trust gap and that aspect where it's showing my expertise and then just speaking directly to what their problems are. I got the Biz and Chill bites that can go in either direction. Well, I did make those distinctly to be directed at fintech executives. So it's kind of just like building on the relationship cultivation aspect as far as, I'm writing posts. It's a different vibe to actually hear somebody and see them in content. So that's why I started making those. It's just a headache to have a whole bunch of videos and as far as like making space. because I do make video content, because there is a Art of Biz and Chill YouTube channel. The main thing is, once again, like the trust building. People get to see my face, see my mannerisms, get that kind of humany goodness from those as I am talking about my offers and what I'm doing. And with that said, oh yeah, and then I do want to make carousels. I've been wanting to make carousels. I'm like, I just make them for myself. So I want to do like one a week, because I do like I like some maximalist pizzazz. Add some color, add some flavor to it. And tell some personal stories. I was like, I do a personal story and thought leadership. But you know what? I just make a personal story ones, because the thought leadership is like the fintech executive post I'm typing up. And yeah, now I have this podcast. And with that said, I am moving this over to Beehive in July, just because I just think it's the better move. And I guess I've been influenced because I'm following the CEO of Beehive on LinkedIn. Then one of his former employees has been using Beehive as a platform for podcasting. His podcast is Money Wise. And I've been wanting to use the platform anyway. And the main thing with being keeping this, I don't know, is I get the Substack controversy. I've decided to turn a blind eye, because Substack is useful for me for cosmic noirists, because I actually have conversations with people, whereas like fintech isn't really popping on Substack. So, and as like, because it's a shared account, the audiences and the type of people I'm talking to may get off base, and I just don't see a point in keeping this on Substack when I'm already talking to my target audience on LinkedIn and now Reddit. So that's happening. And then podcast episodes, I am in the process of exporting the audios, select audios, and doing some finagling on Canva so I can upload them on YouTube as podcasts and get in on that. And that's it. I feel like making the Beehive like started from zero. Yeah, I'm just gonna start from zero. I'm sent like, because not everybody been opening the emails on the Substack anyway. So I'm gonna send out the message, join the Beehive. And if they don't, oh well. Moving on, the list has not grown in months. Like, I just got somebody recently who joined, and she she's somebody I've already been talking to, so it's like it ain't no real thing. Then I have like the Art of Business Chill newsletter on LinkedIn. So, and that's already up to like 250 some odd people. So I'm gonna DM them to get on the actual like email list. So I'm not deleting this. Maybe I'll see if I can archive it, but pretty much I'm just porting. I'm not even porting everything. I may just start from May and just move that over there to Beehive. And then we're just going to be set up over there. I'll make my last post on here July 1st, or maybe June 30th, because that's supposed to be the whole wrap up of everything. Whatever. Whatever my last post is, there's going to be a last post supporting people to Beehive. And then this will just be like a relic for to look upon, I guess. And for whatever reason, I just don't see a reason to delete it. So thank you for your time, your attention, and your care. If you are interested in working with me, all the links, or interested in working with me, looking at any videos, Follow me on LinkedIn, go into my website. Everything is available in the show notes. If you go directly to the Substack page, I might have a video up. I'll just be riffing when I'm recording this. So, any links that you're curious about will be available. So I will catch you on the next one. Deuces for glory and pleasure. Elaine Ayo out.